In 2021, the PHP Foundation was launched by prominent community members and 10 major companies in the PHP ecosystem. During this time, they engaged in sustainable PHP core development, the challenges confronting PHP and the Foundation, and, naturally, the future plans. Roman spent a decade as a PHP software engineer before joining JetBrains as the product marketing manager for PHP Storm. He authors the PHP Annotated newsletter and played a key role in launching the PHP Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, Roman Pronskiy is in front of you.
Thank you. Let's dive into how the PHP Foundation came up. I'm pretty sure some of you know some details, but I'll just recap, and I'll try to make it shorter than yesterday, if someone was in my talk yesterday, so that we have more time to answer your questions. So how did it happen? So Rasmus started PHP in 1995 all by himself, and he was developing for a few years himself. Then later, Ziv and Andy, two students from Israel, joined the development, and later in 1999 they started a company called Zend, and for quite a long time it was the PHP company was standing behind the PHP development. There were a few other companies who sponsored development, like Microsoft and the Flickr company and some others, but mostly it was Zend. They were driving force behind PHP for a long time. But unfortunately, they went through a series of acquisitions, and at some point, both Ziv and Andy, they left the company, and basically Zend, still exists. They still hire Dmitry, but the company shrinked, and they kind of lost this influence over the PHP language in general. And that left PHP in a bit unfortunate position, where we had only mostly enthusiasts working on the language. And then at some point there was this guy Nikita. He was actually at school when he started contributing to PHP. Just imagine. And then he was a student. He started, learn about PHP. One of his earliest contributions were generators, but he did a lot of stuff. And then when he finished his study, I reached out to him and asked, hey, do you want to work for JetBrains? He was like, yeah, why not? So we hired him, and for 3 years he worked at JetBrains. It was the happiest time for PHP, I would say. He contributed a lot of stuff, but still, it was just few enthusiasts working on the language. And I'm pretty sure you saw this picture, this stats. Maybe it's not quite true, because usually they say 77% of all the web runs on PHP. Yeah, but they have this small message that it's only based on the servers that kind of report what they are running on. So if you take the real stats, it's actually about maybe 30%, but still it's a lot. But more importantly, is many big companies rely on PHP. So yeah, of course, Apple, they don't build their macOS on PHP, but their websites are built with PHP. And then Slack, I'm pretty sure you all know Slack. It was built in PHP. Yeah, they kind of changed their runtime to Hack back when HHVM was a thing, but still, it was built on PHP. And this is the company that was sold for 27 billion? Again, Spotify, built with Symfony at some point. I'm pretty sure they use dozens of other technologies right now because they grew, but again, they came from PHP. Etsy, still using PHP, still hire Rasmus, the inventor of PHP. And with all this is a question to you. How many developers do you think were paid to work on PHP before the foundation? No, that's it was two. Yeah, it was two. So one, Dmitry Stogov, the guy who is responsible for all the performance stuff in PHP. The PHP 7.4, this the huge leap in performance, which, like, I don't know if you remember, but before PHP 7.4, there was this HHVM thing built by Facebook, and it was so fast that everyone was kind of starting to switch to it, including Wikipedia, for example, and other projects. But then 7.4 came out, which had the performance was even better than HHVM, so it kind of, they stopped switching. But anyway, it's Dmitry and Nikita. Nikita was paid by JetBrains. But I mean, Nikita is a brilliant mind, so he had a lot of interests. He was interested in LLVM and Rust, and he decided to switch his focus. So he left to Red Hat, and now he's working on LLVM in Rust team. And that brings us to a thing called bus factor. So bus factor is usually they say it's a number of people that if they are hit by a bus, then effectively project stops existing. But I don't like this negative definition, so I try to think about it like, what if it's a number of people that if they decide to become bus drivers, then the project stops existing. So Joe Watkins, one of the famous PHP contributors, and he's the author of many extensions and other things. In 2021, in May, he wrote a blog post called Avoiding Buses, and he actually highlighted that not only that the bus factor is 2, like there are only 2 people working on PHP, but for some parts of the project, the bus factor is actually 1. For example, JIT or opcache is just Dmitry who knows how it works. It's insane situation for a language that is used by thousands, millions of businesses all over the world. So right after that, we reached out to them, to Joe, and tried to ask him, what can we do about this, the whole situation. We still didn't know that Nikita was about to leave, but we kind of felt that at some point it will come. Like, he's a young guy. He will not spend all his life with PHP, right? So we kind of knew that it will happen at some point. So we wondered, when he left, we wondered, what should we do? Should we hire one more developer at JetBrains and pay him, or maybe do something else? And yeah, so it was Joe's recommendation, but also there were other people who helped us. It was Sebastian from PHP unit, and his colleague Stefan from the PHP consulting company. We talked to them and a few other people, Rasmus as well, and we came up with the idea of like launching the foundation. So in 2021, in November, we, with the help of many companies, actually 10 founding companies, the foundation was launched. So let me introduce these companies. It was Acquia, the Drupal company, the Automatic, it's a WordPress company, Craft CMS, it's a very nice CMS built on top of E framework. I don't know if they use E framework right now, but originally it was built with E framework, and they were the first company that like supported the idea of the foundation. JetBrains, of course, Laravel, Taylor supported right away. PrestaShop, Private Packages, it's a company stands behind Composer. So Niels and Jordi, they supported the idea right away. Symfony, of course. Tideways, it's a profiler, and Zend. Of course, Zend, they pay for Dmitry's work, but they supported this idea right away. And we launched the PHP Foundation. It's a non-profit organization that stands for PHP, develops the PHP language. It was like all other languages and tools like MySQL, they had MariaDB Foundation, Linux Foundation, every other technology, they had this foundation, but not PHP. So finally, in 2021, we launched the foundation. And we kind of understood that if we have the very wide scope, like aiming for super big goals, it will be hard. So from the very beginning, we tried to kind of narrow down the scope, and the scope was just fund developers, like paid developers who are already working on the language to do their job. And the mission, this mission, it came out a little bit later, but we formulated it this way. So first we need to make language better for developers, for businesses that use it. We need to provide maintenance, because maintenance is not, okay, developing features like RFCs is fun, but maintenance is not fun. Like fixing bugs, going through all these tricky edge cases is not that fun, you know? And doing it while you have like a full-time job and then you come back home, doing it for fun is it's not realistic. So we figured we need like proper maintenance. But again, one of the focuses was to address the bus factor issue. So we want to somehow improve the project to have more contributors to the project. And we all know the issue with the PHP public image. We're kind of trying to address it. This part is very hard, but we still have it on our mission. One question that people ask is how PHP Foundation, what is the relationship between PHP Foundation and the PHP language? And the answer is like there is no special relationship. PHP Foundation developers, they don't have any special rights. So any language features, they still go through RFC process. They can be declined, and I'll show you later that some of the features were declined. That happens. Sometimes there is even disagreement between PHP Foundation developers. That's normal. So let's go about the money. So this is what we got now. I mean, during these 2 years, it's a little bit more than $1 million. From that, we had to pay fees because we use a platform called Open Collective. It's basically sort of like a foundation as a service. They kind of do all legal and paperwork for us, and for that they take this fee, which is quite reasonable because otherwise we would have to hire a lawyer, and that would probably cost us a lot more. So yeah, we were left with a little more than $1 million so far, and mostly it comes from organizations, but about 20% is from individuals, just developers donating their money. And half of it is recurrent sponsorships, as in people donate every month or companies donate every year, but half is just one-time contributions, which is a bit scary, I would say, because we cannot rely and we cannot then proper plan our spending, but that's fine. So yeah, we have these 10 funding companies, but then many companies joined, and you can have a look what are these companies. And it's like, sometimes I'm so happy to see like companies from Japan, from all over the world, from, I don't know, Czech Republic, like Europe, and some of them are open source tools like Spryker or Moodle, some of them or Shopware, some of them just companies building their websites with PHP, and they all support the development. So the question is, how do we spend this money? So we have this about $1 million. From that, we paid $400,000 to developers. A little, I don't even mention it here, but because it's a very small amount to infrastructure, website, and stuff like that. But it's super minimal. And so we have a lot on our balance. And sometimes people ask, like, why don't you spend everything? Why do you have so much money on your account? And there are 3 reasons for that. First, our aim is to kind of have long-term goals, and we want a long-term prosperity for. What happened? Okay, long-term prosperity for PHP, and When we hired developers, first, initially, they were all part-time developers. I mean, just imagine you're a developer, you have a job, and now you have to quit your job to work for some kind of new, just established foundation. It's kind of risky. So they started as a part-time developers, and then they increased their load. So to have like planning for them, we need to have a buffer. But the other reason is more technical, is that companies usually donate at the end of the previous year. So, and then we pay to developers every month. So we kind of, during, like at the end of the year, we have more, and then we spend it over time. But the Open Collective, as I mentioned, it's a platform that gives us this transparent budget. So if you want, you can go check. Everything is public. So every income, every spending, you can check like who paid us, how we paid. It's all public. You can go check like when it all happened. So where does this money go? We have the team. It's 6 developers currently. I will talk about the extending a little bit later. It's the board. We have 9 people on the board. It's people who basically from the funding companies and who started the foundation. And we have community. We have the people who help us with different things, like website, blog posts, and just occasional consulting. I didn't mention all of them here, by the way. It's actually a lot more. And so developers are paid fully from the foundation money. Dmitry Stogov is also paid, but not from foundation money, from Zend. And myself, I'm paid by JetBrains to work full-time on the foundation. So I can do like all the admin things, managing and stuff for the foundation, and JetBrains, thanks for them, they pay me for that. What's the outcome of this? So about 30% of all the commits, again, to PHP repository are coming from the foundation, and it grows over time. These are the people that contribute. You can see that, like, yeah, we have this new star, Niels. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he just started like a couple years ago, but and now he's like a top contributor. It's really, really cool that we have these new people coming. He's young, he's still a PhD student. I already reached out to him and asked if he wants to work for the foundation. He said he cannot work right now because he's a PhD student, but maybe later, hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, so the people that we currently hire, you can see it's Ilya, George, Mate, Derek, Jakub, and Arno. So let's take a look what are they doing. And then again, this is just my highlights. So George, he is interested in type system, so he does some improvements to type system. He wanted to have a new auto-loading mechanism so that you can auto-load functions, but it's still under discussion. It hasn't been voted or anything, but he also does a lot of documentation work, and especially the organizational part of the documentation. Ilya, he is the first developer who went full-time with the foundation. He's currently developing property hooks, pattern matching, and many other super cool things. Enums were by him, and a lot of bug fix and stuff like that. Arno is our new guy for the op cache. He's super interested in op cache, but also really fun things. He's doing research on GenRX. No promises there yet, but we'll see. We'll see what's coming. One other thing is lazy objects. This is actually the idea that they brainstormed with Nicholas Grekas from Symfony. I hope they also will deliver it sometime next year. Mate, he's responsible for the read-only stuff and also the documentation improvements. Basically, he automated some stuff. Derek is our senior guy. He has all the knowledge, he helps everyone, but he also does the datetime stuff. and just general maintenance. And Jakub, he's interested in FPM and OpenSSL. This is something that he has been doing for a long time. But one thing is improvements for JSON. So one thing he's working is this JSON schema support. There's no RFC yet, but hopefully it will come later. We'll have details there. I'm not gonna go like deep there. But again, what's more important is that they not just do the features. Features is like maybe 10% of their work, but most of their work is bug fix, maintenance, triaging issues, helping other people, and it's a lot of work. The documentation. So this is what George does, for example. So he doesn't like write all the documentation himself, but he also like helps to plan it. Like, hey, here's the things you could work on. Let's track it, and that helps a lot. And service maintenance. It's very funny, but PHP servers were running PHP 5 until this year. It's crazy, right? And Derek updated them to 7.3, and just like a month ago, I asked him, dude, can we upgrade it to PHP 8.2? Why is PHP 7.3? So yeah, he upgraded it, of course, but maybe we need some kind of more modern process of doing that, and that's something he will work on lately. But again, it's something you have to be paid for, you know? You cannot, it's not that super fun work. So we got to the future goals, and initially I wrote it like future plans, but you know, it's really hard to plan anything. It's just goals. It's what we aim to do, but we'll see what we able to accomplish. First and foremost is hiring more developers. So as I said, we're gonna extend our team. We're gonna have 4 more developers coming. I will not reveal names until we sign contracts with them. It will happen somewhere in December, because last year we had a problem when we were about to hire a new developer working full-time for us, very experienced one, and we already prepared a contract for him, everything, but then something happened and it didn't work out. So it can happen, so we'll see. But also, as I mentioned, it's not just new developers. Our existing developers will also increase their load time. So 2 more developers will go full-time, so hopefully it will be a very cool team. Financial stability is a very important topic. We kind of need more recurring sponsors and big companies. I mean, yeah, individuals is okay, but most of the money comes from the companies relying on PHP. And we're extremely underfunded, I would say, compared to the impact that we do. And the roadmap for PHP. This is something I was talking about yesterday. It's a very, very, very difficult project. So I'm trying to do research on different parts. Gina is doing research on different things. And we also have advisory board. So advisory board is something that that our sponsors companies can participate in. So if some company donates to PHP significant amount, then you can delegate one of your representatives to advisory board, and then you will be influencing the language. You'll give some insight. Earlier, periodically I just message advisory board like, hey, these things that we are working on, what do you think? For example, this worked really well with property hooks. So property hooks it changed drastically after the feedback. So yeah, the roadmap is a very important project. But those were the goals, but these are actually the concrete things that we're gonna work on next year. In addition to everything else, in addition to maintenance and stuff, the RFCs that are already there, these are some additional projects. First, rework and Packle. So, yeah, I mean, this is a pain for everyone who is using extensions, everyone who especially writes extensions. The vision is that extensions should be a first-class citizen in PHP. So you should be able to install extensions just like you do it with Composer packages. Again, this is a vision. We'll see how it works, but we got funding for this. We got people who gonna do this work. So I'm very, very optimistic about this. This is a huge project that PHP needs. The other one, security audit. So if you ask businesses, like if you ask usual developers, hey, what you want? And they, like, yeah, generics, some other things. But if you ask businesses, what they want is performance and security. They don't need features, they need performance and security. Okay, performance, we have Dmitry working on that. We have Arno working on that. Security is something that we haven't been doing as a project for a long time. So we're going to collaborate with an organization called OSTIF. It's basically an organization that does security audit for open source projects. They already did that for Node.js, for curl, for some other open source projects. Again, we got funding for this. It's extremely expensive. So maybe we will not be able to audit the whole code base. And that's why Derek, he messaged internals and I messaged on Twitter, hey guys, what do you think are the most important parts that should be audited? So if you have any opinion on that, feel free to reach out to me. FPM stability. So currently FPM is not, it's tested, but it's not tested under the load. And this is where most of the problems come, when it's a high load. So we're gonna develop a special tooling for that and maybe have it on CI so that FPM is stable and performant. And documentation improvements. Again, this is something that's been requested many times. We have many ideas. We have some research coming from Paul here, and I hope we can make it better. It doesn't include design though. So design is something different. It's mostly about the content, how it works with documentation and other things. So how can you help? First, donate. Second, ask your employer to donate. If you cannot donate, just message. Yeah, just tell about the PHP Foundation, what it is, what it does. If you're not familiar with what are the exact things, you can subscribe to Twitter, to blog, to Mastodon of the PHP Foundation, and we post every month. We post like a recap of what's the work that has been done, and get involved. For example, yesterday during my talk there was a question like, "Hey, I like this feature, but how I'm not a C developer. How can I help this feature?" And the answer was, just ask about it. Because if no one asks about this feature, then developers don't know even that this is something that you want. They know about generics because everyone speaks about it on Reddit, Twitter, and whatever. But some other features, developers may not think about it. So just write a blog post, message on Twitter, try to be helpful in the community. And this is the survey. I shared it yesterday as well. It's not a usual survey. It's not just check boxes. Actually, the questions are more open and they require some time. But if you want to help, you can go check it, and that really will help to shape us the roadmap for PHP. So this was me. I'm ready to answer your questions if you have any. I don't know. Almost.
Hi again.
Hey.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm working in a company which uses PHP a lot. So do you have any maybe a recommendation? How should I approach the subject? Like, hey, maybe you will donate the PHP Foundation.
Yeah, this is a good question. We have a sponsorship, membership deck which outlines all the points, key points, and also the levels of the membership. I think it's not linked on the website yet, but I will do it very soon. So you'll be able just to share this deck with them and say, hey, this are the options, please help. And we always can do like some special arrangements for you. Like for example, we can do a case study. If you're doing something interesting with PHP, let's tell the world about it. And that will be helpful both for PHP Foundation, for the PHP community, and for your company.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, then let's wrap up on this. And if you have any other questions, feel free to find me. I have stickers, PHP Foundation stickers. They will be out there on the table. Thank you, guys.